welcome back to Movie Fridays. This will obviously be the final one since next week we're going back into MLP, but also surprisingly it's the start of the new season of Ray Donovan. I even got the notebook ready to write down the story and what happened so I don't forget. But back to the movie at hand. Today we're going to be talking about an actual faithful adaptation to Peter Pan. And some of you may be wondering, well, what about Disney? What about Hook? Well, they kinda come close. Well, except for Hook, because that's like another story to itself. But if you want to see something really well done, then right here, this is the movie. From 2003, featuring Jeremy Stumpler, Jason Isaacs, Olivia Williams, Jeremy Stumpler, and Rachel Hurd Wood. This, basically, if you know the story very closely, it's about Wendy, who is a storyteller for her younger brothers, John and Michael. They find those stories to be really fun and really awe-inspiring to her storytelling, and of course they wind up having fun with it. One day, unfortunately, while she's in school, she winds up drawing something that normally the teachers absolutely hate. So, they obviously wind up reporting this to her father, and of course, they force her to learn by her relative, who basically forces her to try and grow up. But, of course, with Peter Pan leaving his shadow in their house, he winds up returning and, of course, getting the shadow sewn back onto him. As, of course, the younger brothers wake up to find Peter Pan in their home, as, of course, they wind up getting sprayed with Tinker Bell's fairy dust and thinking happy thoughts as they fly off to Neverland and they have fun there. But, of course, being faithful to the story, Captain Hook obviously winds up finding out that Peter Pan has returned to Neverland, as of course he's on a never-ending quest to try to get even after slicing off his hand and feeding it to the crocodile that ticks and talks. If anything, this adaptation of the movie is so close to the original material. I have not read the book myself, but I will believe this is very close to the original version of the movie. In of itself, this does really have a great storyline, and a great something that's driven to it, something that's actually pretty well told. And this is actually one that I actually saw when I was young, like, right as it came out in theaters. It's that young, surprisingly. Other than the fact that the setting in this movie looks pretty amazing, I will admit the sets are pretty cool, and even the backdrops that they use for this movie are really well put together. The one thing I'm surprised about is this film somewhat uses both CG and practical effects to tell the story, which, of course, there's lots of people who harp on Hollywood for relying too much on CGI, and I'm somewhat mixed here and there on that said hatred for the effects. The one thing I at least have to give props for is that mixture of CG and practical. We don't see that a lot in movies nowadays. Really think on that. But another thing to consider with this movie, there's actually really fantastic storyline with this. It's actually well told and well executed. It has 3.5 stars from Roger Ebert, a certified 77 fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and what the person winded up saying was from Movie Guide, morally uplifting movie that intentionally emphasizes the fantasy elements of the story in both dialogue and design. Once you have that going for the movie, you know you're in for one amazing story. But I'm sad to see that not a lot of people know this movie, or at least they don't talk about it. They more talk about Disney and Hook. But probably one to go down in nowadays is that really terrible movie, Pan, which, I don't know what Pan is. Pan's a terrible movie, I will admit that much. So, anyways, what do I think to all of this? I say, it's worth the watch. It's worth checking out. This has been a movie I completely forgot about in years, but really loved it as a kid. And then, once this movie popped up, it's just a big kick for me. And somewhat, I even see myself maybe as the third guy reviewing this movie, because this doesn't get a lot of attention from what I see. Again, it's the Disney version that seems to get the attention a whole lot more. And somewhat, if you're willing to find it and watch it, I have this to say. Do not watch it on FX. Why? Because they completely and utterly trimmed the 1 hour and 50 minutes out of the movie to make it around like nearly an hour and 30 minutes. They chopped up a lot of scenes out of this, and part of the time the story doesn't flow very well in the FX version compared to the ones on DVD and Blu-ray. And yes, FX, for whatever reason, chopped the movie and didn't make the story flow very well. If you watch it, be warned of that. So just find the DVD and or the Blu-ray version of the movie and watch it. Do not watch it on FX. Now that I got that done out of the way, the one thing I say is that Peter Pan is worth watching and worth buying on Blu-ray. So with that in mind, Peter Pan from 2003. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or, in your opinion, what's the adaptation of Peter Pan that you like the most? Whatever your thoughts are, comment below and let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, just wait until the end slate if you want to see more. And as always, I'm the Ferb Guy, and I'll see you guys for the next movie.